Good night again, almost good morning actually. So, the last video, the third part of the seminar was again stopped in the middle just because I ran out of space. I don't know why I keep getting out of space in this iPhone. I think that maybe there's a malware, spyware that is taking excessive space. Anyway, I've cleaned this phone thoroughly and we have now 330 gigabyte left, so it will not be I wouldn't need to delete like every other video, like to delete like everything. Anyway, so the last couple of videos, I spoke very, even more than usual, very, intuitively and kind of like with a stream of thought, and there are several open issues that maybe people want to want me to complete, and I will do it. So I haven't slept. I took because I slept during the day sometimes. So I took the time to just think about all sorts of stuff. Thinking is important. But I'm not like totally very keen on. It's not very urgent to complete this saga or miniature saga of this symbolic language seminar, unless people are really interested in something that I've said, because mostly it's not like it's ongoing issues that it's not something that is terribly important. Just it's documentation of this inquiry into the symbolic language. As I said, and I've said it in the past, the whole journey, like 4.5 years, could be. This is not a new theory. That you could arguably say that it is the whole idea. The target here is the understanding of the symbolic language. My objective and the objective of the oppressors, the humans, is that I will not learn that, because they both. They know from the time that I was born, and I know for several years now, and at least 2 years, that I understand that I can do everything that I want if I only I can understand this language. So that's why it's so important. Of course, it's not the only thing that's important. It's also important to understand the world around you in order to know what you actually want to achieve, to accomplish. And of course, there is the issue of intention. You need to believe in God, and you need to have good intentions. But there are several open issues, and I will finish it probably later today, because I want to focus now on more art and. I want to advance with this stuff. I should just say that this is cryptic. I admit. A cryptic one. Several people ask, what do you actually see here? And I spoke about it yesterday that this is it's like one of the interpretations. Possible interpretation. The interesting one could be. That this is an historical event. It happened in the past or in the future, or both. And the interesting stuff is that it can arguably, you can watch this kind of symbol, in nature. We already discussed, the solar system, but this can be looked at like a sunset at the beach, which is something not uncommon. It actually happens. You could argue almost every day, and maybe even every day, even though I don't know if somebody actually checked if it happens every day. But presumably, it should happen every day, like sunset on the beach. And since I was born in Tel Aviv and grew up in Tel Aviv, and still right now I actually live in Tel Aviv. It's not kind of like I'm not stranger to this peculiar event of sunset in the beach. But I already spoke about it. I don't know if I uploaded this to YouTube, or if I did. But it's peculiar. There are several peculiar things with this. First of all, we have not yet. We have not yet established what exactly is the blue background. This is kind of like this is a conundrum. We've established that the metal background is metal. We call metal. Some people abroad didn't understand the metal issue. So maybe now they do. Metal, portal, mortal. And the red ones we already know, and I mean the yellow ones we know, but I mean the blue ones is, I mean, is this even a thing? I mean, perhaps it's not a thing at all. Perhaps the neurons don't know what blue is, because as I've said in the past, I mean, not all cultures actually used like the color at all, and famously, I mean, in the Iliad and the Odyssey and ancient Greek texts, I mean, from classical period, the blue color does not, I mean, appear at all. I mean, presumably the Greeks didn't know what blue is. I mean, at least at the time. They used silver instead of blue when they want to refer to a person with blue eyes or to the color of the sky. Silver or pink, actually. There is a metaphor that is, I mean, repeated in the Iliad, I mean, many times. That, I mean, of the pink fingers, like the pink fingers in the sky. It's a metaphor for sunset. But not blue. So maybe silver and blue is just the same, but maybe not. So this is not like urgent to discover now, and this is, and there are actually other, I mean, another interesting like characteristics of this construction, I would say, is that, I mean, that it's I mean, it's like it contains both, like, I mean, geometrical shapes and like natural shapes, and mostly I use only natural shapes, and this catches the eye, I mean, and kind of like, I mean, so people think, are these like, I mean, is this a robot, or are these this electronic device, or maybe it's like a runways, you know, for like, you know, ancient runways, or not ancient runways, like, I mean, of all sorts of starships. So all of these are good questions, and also it's somehow, I mean, it gives you the reference to, I mean, gives you a strong reference to Venus, because, I mean, at the terraformed state, because you see the ocean, I mean, you know that, I mean, much of it, of Venus is covered with ocean, and even more so than Earth, even though there is quite a bit of land. It's not like it's all fish. I mean, there's, I mean, even if it's just 10%, and my estimation is it's more than 10%, but even if it's just 10% covered with land, and taking into account that it's 90% the area of, total area of Earth, which means that, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, that is like 9% of the Earth's total area of land. It might not sound much, but it's actually quite a bit. Like, I mean, it's pretty much, like, I mean, it's a lot. Like, Earth is a water world. I mean, like, just to, I mean, Earth is, I mean, people speak about in YouTube about water world, water planets. I mean, because of the rediscovery of Venus. So, I mean, just to say, you already know a water world. Its name is Earth, because Earth is a water world. I mean, because it's mostly, I mean, covered with water, and the land and much of the land is either not inhabitable by almost nothing, and especially not human, or ice, or, I mean, very uncomfortable. Like, so, I mean, actual like landmass that is kind of like livable by, I mean, like, you know, not only if you are Israeli that is used to the heat, like, I mean, but also, I mean, to almost anybody, I mean, is actually not that much of the total area, but it's still quite a bit because it's a planet. So, I mean, this again, this actually gives them, you know, kind of like an association or connotation. Connotation is the correct term of Venus, because, I mean, of the ocean and the things that look, I mean, you know, artificial, and this, of course, alludes to the artificiality of Venus. Even though it should be said that, I mean, the term artificial is in itself artificial. Like, you know, there is like a verse in Psalms, like Tehillim. I don't remember exactly the quote, but I mean, the idea is that, I mean, everything is artificial. I mean, is the artifice of God. Like, you know, everything is artificial in the eyes of God, because it's artifice of God. So, we should speak about it some other time. We see here another kind of like, I mean, representation of Venus, the hookah. You see, it's like a blue water and the artificial kind of a construction above, and of course, it's not connected now, but the snake, which, as we know, snakes are not only indigenous to Earth, but they are also quite a bit of snakes can be found in Venus as well, as we all know. By the way, both real and metaphorical. And So anyway, I will advance with my thing, which is mostly, I mean, so I'll tell you what, I mean, I will continue to speak about the open issues from the previous video because they're important, but not terribly urgent, I think. So I postpone it a little bit. I just think now that, as a practical advice, like if someone, I don't know, if someone is like waiting for very practical advice, I mean, first of all, I would say that you are in a much better position than I am to actually just try and see what happens. I mean, like, if you are Titans, you're pretty durable. You will not die very easily. So, I mean, if it's something terrible that you are doing to yourself, you will feel it like on you and you will be able to stop. And if it's something terrible that happens to humans, like, I mean, do we really care? Do we really care? Do we really care? Now, you are much better positioned than I am to do so because I am one and you are many. And so, like, if I try things, I mean, people always watch me. Like, you know, I'm under surveillance all the time. And, I mean, they understand that I try things and they can, I mean, sabotage it because they have all sorts of ways to use sound detects, electricity, magnetism. So this is my life. And also the bicycle mechanism, like with 1,000 or 2,000 people riding me. So they have so many ways to torture me. So they can use the torture in order to, the same way that they can try to implant conditions on me, on other people as well, they can also use the same like ideas, like, you know, smell, sound, things like that. I mean, to create like false understanding. I mean, to false conditions. Like, I mean, so I will think that, I mean, I prepared, you know, like, I mean, you know, kind of a construction that hurts me, but it's actually like something that hurts them. But I mean, they want me to destroy it. So potentially they can also do it to you. But again, I don't know who you are, but presumably you are, by definition, you are many and I am one. So I mean, it's much easier for the Israelis to do it. I mean, although I live in Israel, I don't know where you live. Maybe like in Neptune, I don't know. But I mean, I'm one. I live in Israel, so it's much easier for the Israelis to do this. I mean, this kind of you know, tricks to me, on me. So you can actually just, I mean, try and see what actually happens. Now, and another very kind of straightforward advice that I would say, again, I will finish like continue with the open issues from the previous video. Just, I mean, later, probably later today or tomorrow. But I mean, just now, another practical advice, if someone is like really, I don't know if you're, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, like you stand, you know, with the canvas, like on a kind of like on a cane, like, I mean, I don't know, with the kind of like with the brush waiting for advice, or maybe it's more like, you know, theoretical the way that I see it right now. But I mean, I would say that in general, and I try to, I didn't work like that, I mean, throughout, like, you know, the 2 years. I mean, I'm trying to now, like, to switch, I mean, you know, to this kind of new mode, even though the other modes were also okay. But I mean, for now, I mean, the practical mode, the best practical mode, if you use, like, painting on canvas, is, I would say, to use the same sizes, the same size, like, of canvases, like, if you, like, for the same construction, like, I mean, 3 of a kind like this, and or 4 of a kind. This can be 2 or 3 or 4, and probably it's even better to use that kind of like, you know, the new kind of construction, which means like one relatively large one that is separated. So I mean, that's why, I mean, you can, like, I mean, it will be very clear to you exactly, I mean, what, I mean, you know, it will be very clear to understand that this is like one construction, and there'll be like less of a mess. Like, this is the simpler way, less artistic perhaps, but more simpler. And also, I mean, it can help you, I mean, it can help you like use approximately the same symbols, like on all 3, or all, I mean, it can be 4, 3 or 2, I mean, depends on what you want to achieve. But I mean, in general, it should be similar, because I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I mean, it's much better that there are the similar, like, symbols, and I mean, perhaps, I mean, a little different, but similar symbols, and in the same kind of like place in the composition, I would say, temporal composition. So it will be clear, I mean, that what are the symbols, actually the symbols, and what do they, I mean, what's going, I mean, what is the trajectory here? Again, it's not the most artistic way, but I mean, it's very, like, I mean, simple, and simplicity is not only important for the sake of communication with the robot, but also for you to actually, I mean, remember and understand what you were trying to achieve. Again, I should remind you that, I mean, the negative, like, I mean, that you see is because, I mean, there is, like, I mean, there is a direction of, like, of things that, I mean, that are included, objects that are included where you stay, like in your home, or your apartment or home or whatever you are, and not the others. And the negative side is objects of the type of these symbols, but that are outside where you are, and not where you are. And this is, it's not always important. Sometimes it's not important at all. That's why you don't have to use the, like, I mean, 3 or 4. It can be 3 or 4 because, I mean, maybe you want, like, I mean, both, like, to be included, and but to have completely different kind of, like, I mean, completely different kind of, like, I mean, trajectories, like, or required state. Then you need 4. And maybe, I mean, you want both, but I mean, you want to, I mean, like, you want to destroy everything. Doesn't matter if it's, like, in your apartment or outside. So then you need 3. Like, I mean, and maybe it's, I mean, you only cared about, like, things that are outside where you live, or only where you live. So then you need 2. But I should say that this is important. I should remind you that the Neros, again, you should be, this is obvious, I mean, but in Venus it's obvious, but I mean, in Earth, I mean, there is like a history of perversion surrounding this issue. So, I mean, people, I mean, it's such a pervert, you know, society, and like, and humans are pervert, like, I mean, such a pervert, like, you know, species that, I mean, like, simple, natural, I mean, like, you know, effects of life, I mean, were forgotten and deleted. So, I mean, just to remind you the obvious, I mean, the Neros are, by nature, this is like sexual hormones or sexual material. It's something that relates to sexual relations in the broad sense, both like that is facilitate, like, actually, I mean, making babies, but also that it's something that relates to sexual activity and sexual life between male and female. And sometimes, because in Venus there is a huge discrepancy between the sexes, it's polygamy, like male and several females. But I mean, this is the context of the usage of these robots. I mean, it's not something that should be sold or shared or stolen, or all the things that happen in Israel and also abroad are unbelievably pervert, and the cause for so much suffering and diseases and what's not. So, I mean, but when you remember that the Neros are something that, I mean, are used in, like, in sexual context, then, I mean, then it only makes sense that that if you want to affect your Neros that presumably found their way to the bodies of other people, you would want to, I mean, it will be incredibly different. I mean, and presumably it's not like me that I live in a hostel for homeless people under arrest, and that it's actually filled with Shabak, you know, the Israeli intelligence agents. I mean, this is not like, I mean, no, the classical living condition in Venus or anywhere else. I mean, presumably the normal state of affairs is that the male lives with the female or several females at the same home, and they are, of course, they are not married. Like, they don't go to church. They barely have language. I mean, their language is, it's not true. They have language, but their language is not like, you know, like our, you know, like native languages in Earth. I mean, it's like native languages of Earth, but of humans, of like 50,000 years ago, or you know. I mean, they still have language, but it's not the same kind of language. It's much more basic. So, I mean, but even just such people, they still live together in, you know, in homes, maybe simple homes, but still they still have homes. They don't, you know, they are not like, I mean, animals. They are not animals. So, I mean, presumably by the natural state of affairs, like naturally, I mean, your neros, I mean, are to be found with the people that live under your roof. Like, if you're a male, your wives, and if you're a female, your husband, and probably the other wives as well, because it's the same type of neros. Because they are all, I mean, facilitated by the creation of the brown neros that are created in the body of the male. So I mean, and naturally, I mean, and if and potentially, I mean, maybe it's in some way these kind of near robots found their way to the bodies of people that do not live with you. But I mean, this is completely different. I mean, it's completely different thing. I mean, it's not just, I mean, just, where you live is not kind of like, like a random fact or random, characteristics of unimportant characteristics. It's essential. It's essential issue. Like, I mean, because this determines your family, and people that are not your family and for some reason have these robots, they shouldn't have it in the first place. So, I mean, naturally, if you even want to use the language, which you would not want to do it every day, but I mean, you have the potential to do it, most certainly, I mean, by natural, by again, it's not always correct. I mean, in Earth, it's not correct, and for me, it's not correct. I mean, because it's all like, product of history of perversion and abuse. But according to the natural set of affairs, you will probably wish completely different things to the people that live with you, to your family, and to people that are not your family, and for some reason, I mean, stole or forcefully taken, or I don't know, or in a deceitful way receive these robots and have it in their body. I mean, most certainly, I mean, not always that, most certainly you will wish like blessing to your family, and causes to people outside of your family that in a wrongful way receive these robots. That's why, I mean, the issue of where you live is so important. Like, I mean, because according to the natural set of affairs, I mean, it's completely different thing. Like, I mean, the people that have the robots that are part of your family, and the ones that have it in some, probably due to some kind of, like, I mean, deceit or crime but they're not part of your family. That's why it is so important, the issue of, like, I mean, where you actually live, like, where are you? But again, it's not always important, and certainly in our, like, place and time, like in Earth, I mean, many times you will actually, like, I mean, you will probably, like, I mean, these two rows will be identical. I mean, like a mirror, like you see here. I mean, it's probably going to be like that because, I mean, because we are deprived of families. I mean, especially me and probably many of you, and we are not allowed to have families. So the whole and people that we live with are either, I mean, I don't know, not relevant, or like, prison guards that were placed on us. And so at this, like, circumstances, I mean, it makes sense that we will want, like, to use only curses, not blessing, and that it will be the same whether they live with us or not, like you see in these paintings. In any case, it's much easier to do so. I mean, to use the same kind. I mean, like mirror, the symbols, and also to, I mean, to very clearly state, I mean, what's every symbol, like, I mean, what's the verdict of every symbol, like, in the target, in the top row, like you see here. It's much simpler when it's like one canvas that is separated to three identical parts, or three identical canvases, like these two and the one that I will actually create very soon. And that's like my recommendation. Even though artistically it might not be, the most innovative, because you produce sets that, I mean, that are like Andy Warhol, many cans of tomato juice, but I mean, or many Marilyn Monroes in different kind of colors or shades. But I mean, anyway, this is my recommendation for practical purposes. And another practical something that you need, that I would recommend, and I have not always done it, but I'm switching to this mode. Again, might not be the, of the highest artistic merit, but it's of it's of practical merit, is to use high contrast. Like, I mean, to use colors that, I mean, they create contrast with each, not specifically black and white, because specifically white is problematic. I mean, but I mean, something like, I mean, to use high contrast in colors for your, I mean, for your paintings. I mean, so I mean, it should be something that is kind of, I mean, no, not kitsch, you know, but I mean, but not like, I mean, understated. Like, I mean, and this is for several reasons. First, I mean, I will elaborate on that on the next video. Not now. So I will elaborate more on that on the next video. So there is kind of, there are several reasons here, but I mean, it's just, I mean, before the reasons that I will actually, like, I mean, raise later today, it's just, it makes sense that for practical purposes it will be like that, you know, because it's symbol, so it should be clear in what it symbolizes. So, I mean, unlike art that, I mean, you know, can be ambiguous, like, I mean, by nature, and like, you know, and often is ambiguous by nature. So that's it for now. If you have any urgent questions, I mean, please leave a comment, and I'll continue the fifth part later today.